Ahoy there, and welcome back to the 78th episode of DohMance Dawn, your premier podcast for discussing The Simpsons and One Piece at the same time every week. Not like you Johnny Come Lately podcasts that might end up coincidentally talking about both of the shows in a single episode. I'm Luke, he, him, sometimes they, them, and I'm joined by my wonderful, effervescent, collated, dynamic co-host Janine.
Hello, my name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I don't have a third thing to say.
So we are back for another normal episode. If you, for whatever reason, skipped the last episode because it was a movie episode, that's a choice. We have another technical movie that would be coming up in like a month that we would do, but there's no actual anime episodes getting into it. So at some point we'll cover One Piece, Straw Hat, 3D Chase, or whatever it is. But not until we do a guest episode about it. If you know any Simpsons podcast people who would be good guests, and if you directly know them, you should have them reach out to us, because that's when we'll pull out the special carpet and we'll do those movie episodes. But today we are covering episodes of Simpsons and One Piece that initially ran between October 24th and December 5th of the year 2010. And what a strange array this would have been when I was starting my last year of college, because I graduated in 2011. And yeah, this would be when I booked the concert for my 21st birthday. Have I told you that story before?
No.
So back in high school, I struck up a conversation with a British rapper who will no longer name, and I ended up developing like a business strategy and got some shout outs and stuff. But more recently, he drifted into a strange domain of he made a Jordan Peterson mixtape as not an ironic thing and not a critical thing. And it's like, yeah, no, this is the point where I'm just saying no second chances. Fuck that dude. But basically, I'd established myself as having ideas for how to like work with musicians, work with rappers, book shows. And so Adam Warrock, who was a nerdcore musician who has been out of the game for at least a decade now, I think, was looking to do his first national tour. And I was like, you know what? I bet I could do this. And so I ended up booking a tour on what would be my 21st birthday, because it was like, hey, it would be an awesome idea getting to like book a tour with a musician I sort of know for my 21st birthday. And so initially I tried to do it in the comic shop that I ran in, because he was looking to like do these shows in comic shops. It would have honestly been an awful venue because it was such a small place and it was a poorly run shop that is now a cash for gold store. May it burn in hell. And so instead we went to a small theater in Pittsburgh, and due to a series of miscommunications, it turned out that another musical group was also booked there that night, a like indie synthy group called the Russian Futurists. And so it was like a local nerdcore group, Black Wolf, who I went on to do some additional work with, and then Adam Warrock, and then ending with the Russian Futurists. It was a great concert, but also because my birthday falls like the week before Thanksgiving break, nobody came out for it. It was like the total number of musicians outnumbered the total number of like audience members.
Oof.
Yeah. So in like one of the songs that Adam Warrock came out with later, it was like, yeah, my first show, no one came. It's like, hey, that might be about that show that I but yeah, I tried to do something big. I kind of failed at it. I almost, as a result, got a job managing an African world music band out of college, and that Luke, I have no idea what he's doing in that other timeline. Yeah, that's what I was doing at this time. Do you have any fun stories from this time, Janine?
Holy shit, no, I was just really getting back into playing tabletop games and World of Warcraft.
You nerd. I think by that point I had stopped because I had moved out of the dorms, and the one campaign that I was in ended up falling apart along with the LARP dungeon building group that I was in because the two people behind it ended up getting hired by the local mafia to create an online gambling website. And they're like, yeah, we're going to get $1 million to do this. So we're just dropping out of school.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the first episode is Treehouse of Horror 21. Uh, First segment was War and Pieces, where Bart and Milhouse play Satan's Path, which Jumanji's them with a bunch of other board games until they win, but then they die in a game of Hangman. It's fundamentally like when people, I think, talk about lazy Treehouse of Horror episodes, this is kind of it exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Milhouse dies twice, and
Mm-hmm.
like literally the first time that he does, it's just like he's just tired of living, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like I guess that's kind of a joke, but also it's kind of like telling you the exact kind of enthusiasm that went into this bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much every joke that you think would be in here is in here, and it's ultimately skippable. The second is Master and Cadaver, where during their second honeymoon on a yacht, Marge wears a black bikini, and
Nice.
that's great for.
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women.
And so Marge and Homer find Roger, a mysterious man who claims that his employer tried to murder everyone on the boat he was on. They're both suspicious of him. They kill him only to find the boat. All the victims who Roger thought had died ended up having preventively not died because they took anti poison. So Homer ends up killing them all to hide that he killed Roger. But then it turns out Roger's alive and Homer kills him just to be sure. And then Marge is so stressed out that she kills herself. But it turns out that it was really Maggie playing with a toy in the bathtub the entire time and imagining it. And then we just get a weird Clockwork Orange
Yeah,
gag, and it
yeah,
doesn't. It it's low random, but I feel like anyone who is actually familiar with the movie's like, no, this doesn't really work at all. Like it doesn't work as a reference because it's not ridiculous enough, and yeah, it's bad.
it really is. This one
The
really frustrated me, and just like how much it kept on trying to outsmart itself, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah, like I think they do some things very well. Like the direction work in this one is good. They do a good job of like building the suspense. They do a good job of, but ultimately it doesn't stick the landing because, like you said, it tries to be smarter than it is. It's sort of like the opposite of the Hitchcock build reference one for like 2 years ago. So the last one is Tween Light, where all the girls at the school are attracted to the new student Edmund, who is a vampire. Lisa has him and his dad over for dinner, but Edmund is embarrassed by his dad, and so the two of them run away. Lisa wants to get bitten until she realizes she's going to be stuck at 8 years old forever. And Homer stops him from biting her and then lets them feed on him instead. Both Edmund and his dad get fat from Homer's blood, and he turns into a vampire and then dies trying to fly. Also, the beginning is a weird, long Office opening parody that It's fine. But also that tied in because also Frank tried to see the future and it didn't work. And yeah, it's this is ultimately like a prime example of disappointing Treehouse of Horrors. Not really
Yeah.
scary, not really trying things, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Treehouse of Horror is best when it is doing what it can with the horror genre, with
Mhm.
scary movies that are out now. Sometimes Treehouse of Horror is just like, what movies can we parody in small vignettes? And Twilight is a very easy target, and they do a good job of like, hey, a lot of this stuff is actually referencing actual things that happen inside of this book
Mhm.
slash movie. Um,
And I appreciate Daniel Radcliffe. Like Daniel Radcliffe is in here. Hugh Laurie from House MD and House Woke is in this. He plays Roger, if I remember correctly.
Honestly, like, I kind of wish the entire thing was just more of this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that this was probably like the one solid one, but also because Twilight was such an easy punching bag.
Yeah,
You don't get a lot of new jokes, but they still kind of hit because, I mean,
Vampire Town.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but on the exact opposite, we have Lisa Simpson. This Isn't Your Life, which I think is great. Because it starts off with Maggie wanting a happy little elf toy that is only sold when buying gas from a certain gas station, and it's sold in blind boxes. And so we just get a overly long but funny montage of Homer trying to just buy enough gas to get the box that he needs, and then while trying to burn off fuel without destroying their car, they end up in Marge's old neighborhood where they find her childhood home, and they end up getting some of her old items. Lisa sees that Marge used to be a good student and is worried when she realizes that Homer destroyed her future, and Homer goes and inadvertently warns her that everyone has a Homer. So Lisa tries to cut out every temptation in her life and every potential relationship that could be bad. And when Marge tries to find out why, Lisa blurts out that she doesn't want to end up like her mom, which hurts her. Like all of this is very, it goes from ridiculous to very reasonable. And Lisa's unable to focus at Springfield Elementary and wants to get into Cloisters Academy. And so when Marge gets angry at the headmaster for being dismissive about Lisa's future, uh, they have this off-screen conversation, and she gets accepted with a full scholarship. And so at the school, Lisa has a personal teacher. She feels supported until she finds out that Marge has promised to do all of the laundry for the academy to pay for the tuition. And Lisa feels guilty and tells Marge she doesn't want to go anymore because she sees that while Marge didn't necessarily live up to the same potential that Lisa wanted to have, Marge is ultimately a good person. And that can be more important than where you go or kind of how you prove these things. And she realized that her pursuit of this ideal was making her a bad person in a lot of ways. And then the B plot is Bart accidentally beats up Nelson and becomes a new bully, and then keeps accidentally beating Nelson up when Nelson tries to confront him. And he feels bad about it. Marge tells Bart to make Nelson feel good about himself instead. And so when Bart compliments his bullying, they make peace, and then Homer ends up just stealing the toy that Maggie wanted, rounding it all up. Like Bart's plot never really crosses into the A plot, but I think it has a really good arc. It has some really good gags, and Lisa's plot is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, no, this is a good Lisa story. This is a good mix of she wants to be a good person, but she is ultimately a child who makes mistakes, and I think her fear is reasonable and understandable.
You know, I've been thinking about um, the possibilities of things, of, you know, the road not taken.
Mm-hmm.
And had been kind of thinking about it, and I saw online people talking about, like, sure, if you did something different, sure, maybe you would have the desired effect that you have fantasized about, but also, like, there are so many other things that could have happened wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that, Lisa makes sense um, as a character trying to make the best decisions, and to know that, like, there really isn't one,
Mm-hmm.
and just to kind of learn that, like, there is a limit of what you can be able to do to accept a
So,
future for
mhm.
yourself, like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like a big lesson that I kind of like needed to know now, because I feel like that there's been a lot of things that I've been regretting that, looking back at it, the journey is a lot better. I mean, the fact that Marge still remains happy
Mm-hmm.
and supportive, even when it is like she is the example, she is the thing that Lisa wants to avoid. She selflessly gives so much of herself in order to make sure that Lisa has this leg up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of the characters right now, even Maggie, are just kind of like the perfect idea of what I want these characters to be.
Yeah. We've kind of moved away from jerk ass Homer, and we're moving into a more people are trying their best, but they still have flaws, and the flaws make them interesting. The flaws drive stories without needing to be the flaws are the only reasons that the stories exist. Because I feel like Lisa plots can be criticized for her sort of having this unrealistic or this mouthpiecey ideal, and it makes her unlikable to certain types of people. And here, no, like here she is. Here, her reasons for believing what she believes are laid out well. And then kind of back to is the Fool Monty, where the news companies invent cat flu, and boy, did that opening with a long segment about we need people to be worried about things. We're going to invent a fake virus. So Springfield ends up giving all the vaccines to Mr. Burns, and then Mr. Burns finds out he only has 6 weeks to live. And when the people cheer his oncoming death, he realizes that he is ultimately alone in the world and tries to kill himself, but instead he ends up losing his memory. Bart finds him and brings him home, where Mr. Burns calls himself Oatmeal, but soon the family finds out about him, and Marge decides to bring him forward to the town to figure out what to do. And so they decide that everyone in town is going to get a chance to use him or mess with him. During Lisa's turn, she brings him back to the mansion, which restores his memory, and he wants revenge. But then, as he is ready to enact it, Marge lets him know that he's lived longer than 6 weeks, and his conclusion is not, oh, it's because he actually felt love and companionship. It's that he is now properly filled with hate again. It's fine.
Honestly, this is not the first time that we've seen Mr. Burns turn good to turn evil again. It's
Mhm.
not. I mean, it's kind of the same as I've seen it from other ones. It doesn't seem like an entirely new story. It's got some good gags,
Mhm.
um, but like it's kind of predictable. I mean, a thing that's been on for now in its 22nd season, you know.
It provides no new emotional or satisfying truths and not enough jokes or outlandishness to satisfy what it is. Like, seeing how the different people use Mr. Burns is pretty good, but Lisa just totally accidentally reverting him back. It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. And then on the exact opposite side of like, well, this is a standard story. It's predictable but good. We have how munched is that birdie in the window? Where Bart finds Raymond Bird, a carrier pigeon with an injured wing, and since it's unable to return home, Bart helps him to recover and then decides to keep him because they've struck up a friendship and learns to use him to deliver messages. And they start to set up what would be like, oh, here's our second act twist where Moe's like, hey, did you know there's a pigeon racing contest? And then Santa's little helper just eats the bird, and the bird is dead, and Bart is reasonably upset. And they go to a pet psychologist who suggests that they give Santa's little helper away. So they take him to an ostrich farm where I guess he's going to live. And Bart tells him to never hurt a bird again, but then an ostrich attacks Bart. And when Santa's little helper doesn't attack the ostrich, Bart is forced to choke the ostrich to death and decides to forgive Santa's little helper because I guess anyone can kill birds.
You know, ostriches kill more than 0 people a year. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing. This story, I feel like Bart bonding with an animal is starting to become like a bigger genre than I had ever expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that this one is definitely no exception to it. Bart learns to respect the animals a lot, but also does kill one.
Yeah, having Bart have to choke out a bird to learn, oh, I guess anyone can be forced to kill a bird sometimes is just a weird lesson. Sometimes you gotta kill bird.
Sometimes you just gotta kill the bird.
Sometimes you gotta kill bird. According to Answers.com, 15 years ago, about 7 people annually were killed by ostriches.
And we just stopped tracking it. They could be on a murdering spree. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your eyes open, everybody. There could be ostriches nearby.
I mean, yeah, keep your heads up because they can keep their heads down on the ground. And then last but not least, we have the fight before Christmas where the family's having a rough Christmas, so they all have weird dreams. Bart finds a Polar Express powered by weed.
Nice.
And when he gets to the North Pole, it is a depressing factory town and he is made to work. But his cost saving ideas get him promoted, but ultimately he wants revenge on Santa for never really getting a dirt bike. But then he realizes Santa is sad and broke and forgives Santa and heads home, unaware that Santa conned him. And the development of this one is just poorly done because they never make it really clear is Santa kidnapping kids and turning them into elves to work in his factory for some reason, or are all the kids just coincidentally having elf doppelgangers?
I mean, I imagine, this is all a dream anyway.
I need dream logic, and this is dream illogic, Janine. I want those story holes wrapped up. Oh, also, RIP, shout out to Alf Clausen, who passed away this past week, who was the main musician for The Simpsons until a few years ago.
More
Or when
until we
after that.
join ya. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, who doesn't like Christmas trees, has a dream about Christmas 1944 where Marge is at war while Homer is raising the kids. He brings the kids a Christmas tree, but Lisa's upset because Marge was conscripted forcibly the previous year while buying a Christmas tree. The family then hears that Marge went missing in action, and Lisa blames the tree. and ends up accidentally going to a tree farm, but it turns out to be the tree farm where Marge was taken away after she had paid for a blue spruce. And so they bring it home and decorate it to look like her. And then Marge and Glorious Bastards Hitler and ends the war.
Nice.
It's a weird one.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about Nazis dying. I can
No,
watch that all day.
especially Nazi Dumbo.
Oh, yeah. There was a Nazi Dumbo.
Yep. Marge has a dream. Fuck. Marge has a dream about writing a letter that reaches Martha Stewart, and Martha Stewart shows up and starts sprucing up the house judgmentally and punishing the family. But when Marge wakes up, the family is suddenly in the Christmas spirit. Unlike before, Homer doesn't really get a segment, and then the last segment is Maggie dreaming about the Puppet Simpsons, where they are getting ready for a trip, and Moe is going to look after their house, but it turns out that Homer lied to Mr. Burns about being injured so he could leave on vacation, and Mr. Burns shows up, so they try and distract him, and then Katy Perry, actual flesh human entity, Katy Perry shows up because she's dating Moe, and she kisses Mr. Burns, and so he finds a holiday spirit, and then Moe accidentally eats her out. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Merry Christmas,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, too! Is Moe eating out Katy Perry? Well, we have a segment for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
Moe ate out Flash Katy Perry. Moe ate out Flash Katy Perry. Moe ate out Flash Katy Perry. Everything is broken. Turtle power.
Overall, for Christmas episodes for The Simpsons, this is not the worst.
No.
But it definitely does have some very weird things. Number one, from the Fluppets
Mm-hmm.
segment, I want to call out is just how well they look.
Oh yeah, the Muppet style Simpsons puppets are very well made. They are well acted.
Yeah, they did very good with the syncing voice to the mouth movements,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that Flesh Katy Perry is there freaks me out because it brings me back into the reality of oh, is this not all completely animated?
Mm-hmm.
Because it really just looks like they just popped out of the cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. She got few things that pop out of the cartoon.
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women.
Is Katy Perry middle-aged now?
Let's see. Katy Perry age. Uh, she is 40.
Interesting. Katy Perry, come on the show. I can kiss your belly button.
No, Katy Perry is not allowed to come on the show, Janine. Katy Perry is very problematic.
I don't keep up with specifically Katy Perry.
Katy Perry married Russell Brand, who was essentially gender swapped Katy Perry.
That is an amazing description of Russell Brand.
Katy Perry is currently engaged to Orlando Bloom.
Legolas, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Katy Perry made a feminism rocket that wasted thousands of dollars and ultimately was supposed to promote her own brand, and then got upset when people called her out for her self-serving attitude and paid newspapers to try and make people feel bad for criticizing her.
She's like a real-life Krusty.
With slightly smaller tits. Yeah, you got burnt, Krusty. All right. Yeah, so that's our Simpsons segment, because We hit a sea change in One Piece this week. This week we are covering episodes 472 through 478 of One Piece, and these include Akanu's plot, Whitebeard entrapped,
The encirclement walls activated. The Whitebeard pirates driven into a corner.
the order to perform the execution is given. Break through the encircling wall.
Rush into the final phase. Whitebeard's maneuver to turn the tides.
Luffy's strength is exhausted. All out war in the Oris Plaza.
Power that reduces one's life. Tension hormone returns.
For a promise, Luffy and Kobe clash. The bit I was doing there was I was reading things very slowly because were you watching dubs or subs this time, Janine?
I was watching dubs.
Yeah, just some of those lines, they had to drag them out there.
Oh, I thought you were just doing a very bad Christopher Walken impression, and I was just trying to be nice.
No, if I'm doing a Christopher Walken impression, well, that was moving a bit into Paul Lind.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
you almost did like a better impression when you weren't doing an impression.
The Christopher Walken impression, or a promise, Luffy and Kobe clash. Luffy's strength is exhausted. All out war in the Oris Plaza. Yeah, that would have been my Walken impression. No, that was me doing a parody of how drawn out some of these lines are because we, I think, have hit sort of the bottom of episodes to adapt before they started figuring out how to fit more into each episode.
Yeah, it feels like it's very Planet Namek is going to explode in 5 minutes up in this bitch.
Yes. And there's no fake Namek on the way. There's no Captain Ginyu gets swapped into Bulma plotline to put in.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea that that whole subplot was something that they created for the anime.
I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense that Akira Toriyama wasn't hornier about it. R.I.P. Akira Toriyama, but I played those Dragon Quest games you developed a lot of humor for. I know about the bunny suits. I know about Puff Puff.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm ashamed of Akira Toriyama. R.I.P. sir, but also for shame. So, last time, Squard skewered Whitebeard with his blade, and the world watched on in shock. Squard claims it's because he thought that Whitebeard was hiding Ace's father, who turned out to be Gold Roger, who also killed Squard's previous crew. And he claims that Whitebeard has now set up his allies to be killed in exchange for his own crew and life to be spared. And it turns out that Akainu told this to Squard earlier. So as the pacifistas who appeared are attacking Whitebeard's allies, they call out for him to do something. Marco gets angry, and then Kaiji finally is able to shut off the camera that Buggy had stolen, leaving the rest of the world with just, hey, this is what Squard said. I guess Whitebeard betrayed everyone. What a bastard man. And then Whitebeard, having done nothing for like the first 10 minutes of the episode, is just like, hey, no, you're still my homie. You're still my bro. Bros can kiss bros, and brings them in for a hug. And it's like, yeah, no, I love all of you who are my sons. I love all of my allies. I love all my children. And Squard was like, yeah, I was told this. And Whitebeard's like, yeah, listen, I can forgive you, just everyone needs to make sure that when we save Ace, you still need to treat him fairly. I love all of you. And Squard just breaks down, complete with his weird Squard face tattoo. And then Whitebeard's like, yeah, let me show you what I'm doing, and destroys the ice wall that had been trapping his allies. And he's like, okay, you want to get out of here? You can steal those Navy ships and get the fuck out of here. We're going to save Ace. And so that's when he finally starts to go in and attack. And we get to see Whitebeard's power again. And I do like how Whitebeard just punches things and reality breaks around it.
I do too.
It's a cool way to show earthquakes, and is also one of the things I liked using Whitebeard for in One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. Was he back in 4? I don't remember.
I think this is a good reminder to let everybody know that the authorities don't have to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. There is literally no consequence for someone like the current president of the United States frequently lying or being wrong about things. The only consequences come when the people demand it, and even then, there needs to be a big enough support. And yeah, laws is just kind of made up people. Even Trafalgar D law, someone made that up, and you believe them. So the Marines try and raise up a barricade, but because of all the ice that Aokiji made, it is caught. And so the Marines go to fight back. Hey, John Giant shows up to try and block Whitebeard, and then he just gets totally chumped. Do you remember John Giant, Janine?
No.
You don't remember John Giant?
I mean, I remember a lot of giants that show up, but like this one was so unmemorable. I mean, like you have like a powerhouse in Little Oars Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Any other giant that shows up is just going to be playing, like, going to be fighting for second place for like how awesome that was.
Yeah, John Giant is our lard lad.
We've seen John Giant before.
Uh-huh. We saw him all the way back at the episode with Kaylee.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back during Arlong Park. That was 17 years ago. But yeah, Whitebeard's like, hey, I'm just going to flip this shit. Uses his earthquake power to flip over John Giant, tilts the entire battlefield, summons massive tsunamis, destroys part of the base. But it's enough that the barriers are also able to rise out. And now all of a sudden there's massive walls over almost all the battlefield with gun turrets, so they're able to open fire. Luckily / unfortunately, Oars' big old body blocked one of the wall portions because he is too heavy, and also his blood flooded into the machine, causing it to malfunction, which is metal as hell. R.I.P. Little Oars Jr.
Hell
You a
yeah.
homie? And then Akane is like, hey, well, here's what I'm going to do now. Shoots a bunch of lava into the sky, and then it starts raining down his flaming fist, which is also metal as hell. And because it is meteors falling onto the frozen ocean, it both melts the ice and starts boiling the water. And so it turns into a killing field, and then they start shooting, and the pacifistas start attacking. And Whitebeard tries to destroy the wall, but it is stronger than him. And then Sakazuki destroys the Moby Dick. R.I.P. the Moby Dick. Like, it has suddenly gone into, oh, well, this is kind of ridiculous, and we're getting all these fun scenes too. Oh, yeah, no, this is... War is hell. War never changes. War never changes. It's me, Christopher Walken, for Fallout 5. Ron Perlman didn't want to return for this one because he was not asked on for the TV show, so I'm doing the new Fallout narration. Lucy McLean, you've got to find your father. He's going to New Vegas. And I thought that I found a trailer on YouTube for it, but it turns out they were all AI generated and improperly mocked, and it just made me so angry.
Hmm.
Thank you, Christopher Walken.
That was the real Christopher Walken,
Mm-hmm.
everybody.
And now he's Christopher Sitton. So, Sengoku then orders for Ace to immediately be executed. Luffy rushes forward, and the pirates join in, but it kind of just turns into a kill box. Luffy calls out to his brother and then gets blasted into the water. Luckily, Little Oars Jr. gets back up again, so the Marines open fire on him before Kizaru's just like, yeah, I'm going to end this, and shoots a laser through his frickin' head. A frickin' laser beam. You remember Austin Powers, Janine?
Vividly.
Yeah. It's It's a shame that they haven't done my idea for a reboot sequel, a requel as they call it, which would follow Austin Powers' trans son. Because the beginning would be like, did you ever see the James Bond film Skyfall?
No.
There's a scene where he's like, he has to snipe someone, but there's another sniper in the room, but because there's all these like decorative panes of glass, it's really hard to see. And so my thought is, you know how all the Austin Powers have the like opening dance number, the
Yeah.
it would be that gets interrupted, and Austin Powers is like, "He's a man, babe," as a way of being gender affirming to his son. But then it turns out that we cut into a few years in the future, and Dr. Evil, who at the end of the last Austin Powers movie joined the side of good, has corrupted the spy and intelligence agencies. And so they are now pushing a corporate friendly agenda that is ultimately making the world a worse place. Austin's son is still working for this government because Dr. Evil is his uncle and he believes he's doing the right thing. And then he is sent on a mission to take down his father, who is running a communist country. And he finds out that, oh, yeah, it's communist, but it's groovy, baby. And he's living up to the hippie ideals that he left behind when he was frozen in time. And this idea of new freedom, of not only anti-capitalism but also gender expression and identity, is a threat, and this is why he has been pushed to kill his own father, because if the success of this small party nation is revealed to the world, it's going to raise a lot more questions. And so he ultimately decides that he has to help and take down Dr. Evil, who by joining the establishment has made the establishment corrupt.
Are you listening, Hollywood? This is the shit we want to watch.
Yeah, Jay Roach, call my ass up. Mr. Roach, please call me. I can write this. I've written a few pages of it. Let's make the queer Austin Powers sequel that will be woke.
Hell yeah.
I hope people are happy with Weird Tangent Luke.
I love Weird Tangent, Luke. I love hearing about this idea of a woke Austin Powers. America needs a woke Austin Powers.
I can't wait to title this one Woke Austin Powers. But yeah, Jinbei ends up saving Luffy and shoots water, which is able to help Luffy get in front of the three vice admirals, and he goes to attack them. And Whitebeard, meanwhile, tries to get his men to prepare for a special attack. Luffy tries to get past the vice admirals, and they no diff him. And then before Ace is executed, it turns out that Crocodile saves him because he has issues with the Marines doing what they're doing, which is completely fair. Doflamingo's like, oh, I guess I'm not good enough to team up with. And Luffy tries to charge forward again. Aokiji knocks him back. Galadino, meanwhile, fled into the Marine base at some point and has kind of vanished in there. The other pirates swim towards the opening, and then it turns out that another Whitebeard ship surfaces up from under the water and is able to crash into the wall, allowing those pirates to get on board. And Wars helps it get inside with the last of his energy. He asks that they don't let Ace get killed, and Whitebeard then approaches the vice admirals and tells his own men to stay back, and that once they save Ace, they are going to destroy the navy. And Whitebeard and his top men all get taken down, and Luffy is meanwhile walking dead at this point. Ivankov finds him, and Luffy is just taken off of the battlefield because he is about to die. And Whitebeard's like, yeah, no, Luffy, you have to heal. And so Akainu and Whitebeard square off. The warlords join in the attack. The pacifistas are ordered to fire despite all the collateral damage. And when Marco goes to try and save Ace, Garp finally steps in and blocks him, which is intimidating because we find out that Garp also took down Shiki, the Golden Lion. And we also see that some of these other pirates are strong enough to take out pacifistas, which is interesting. Though it could be the inverse ninja law. You're familiar with that, right?
For our listeners, let's explain what it is for them.
So you know how if there's a bunch of stormtroopers, they're going to get chumped over, but if there's one stormtrooper, it's going to get that shot in and damage the important player. Basically, with any sort of dangerous and deadly mook like that, the more of them that there are, the weaker that they are. So if there's one ninja, he can get past all the defenses, but if there's 50 ninja, they're going to run into trouble and get taken out like chumps.
Are y'all writing this down? There's going to be a quiz later.
That quiz is called You Should Just Go Read Dr. Nick Ninja. So Ace, meanwhile, feels guilty and remembers people who talked shit about his dad and just living a rough life. Buggy, meanwhile, was able to get unfrozen, and he inspired the prisoners to realize that they could save the other people, and so he continues to be hailed as a hero. And Whitebeard fighting starts to have his old age catch up to him. Luffy, meanwhile, is like, hey, I need more energy hormones so I can fight. And Ivankov's like, no, I am not going to do this. And Luffy's like, yeah, no, if you don't do this to me, I'm still just going to go out. And Ivankov warns Luffy that he's not healing, he's just not feeling any pain. So 2 new executioners appear. Luffy now on more hormones, and Eva rush forward. And Kobe gets in the way, and Luffy just takes him out with one punch still.
I get that powerful and I take my hormones.
Hell yeah. That's why the government is afraid of you. And they should, instead of trying to punish you, give you more of what you need.
I can be the woke Austin Powers.
I mean, woke Austin Powers is a trans guy. With swag. With the T-boy swag, Janine.
Oh, and I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about in real life.
Oh, okay. Then yes, you can be the woke Austin Powers IRL. So, Luffy gets blocked by Pacifista, but Hancock gets in the way, and he finally remembers her name. And Kizaru and Marco keep fighting, but he gets shackled with Sea Prism Stone, and as Whitebeard gets back up and attacks again, the blades start to come down towards Ace's head, and Luffy calls out with Supreme King Haki, and it clears out all of the weak enemies. And that's where we stop for this week. One Piece. It's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. A lot of it is just dealing with a lot of people involved in this fucking fight.
Yeah, it is why you don't want to have too many characters in your D&D battles. Because while it may feel big, it's a bad time to measure. So we have 2 initial characters, but then I realized going through notes and everything that's like, hey, those people have actual designs. We apparently missed them because the One Piece wiki uh, has gaps in it. So, along with Kibben and Pavlik, we are also doing Dalmatian and Bizarre. So, we'll start with these first two ones first, and then we'll go into the newer ones. So, are you ready to talk characters?
I am.
All right. So, up first, we have Dalmatian, who's the guy who wears a Dalmatian hood, but also his skin is sort of Dalmatian, and we don't really get what his deal is.
Huh.
Yeah, he just fights. And it's not like, does he have a Zoan type fruit? He could, but it's not, as far as I'm aware, fully defined.
Yeah, and it could also just be like a skin condition, as I learned can be the instance when it came to Killer Croc.
Fair. So my Rodrigo is actually a Rodrigo from the episode that we should have Rodrigoed from, which is Ugly Dog Contest Santa's Little Helper, because I think that would be funny. My throwback is Werewolf Flanders, for that nice juxtaposition of Animal Man and also refined and buttoned up. And then Bobo Smithers, Smithers when he dresses up like Bobo. Who do you have for
Adorable.
Dalmatian?
I have two solid choices. I did choose my Rodrigos from the episodes that we had just watched.
Mm-hmm.
So my Rodrigo style is the dog in hell.
Mm-hmm.
And for my throwback, I went with the Matrix Poochie from the ice skating scene in Kill Gill.
Interesting. Can I push for Werewolf Flanders?
Are we going to have much dogs in the future?
We are going to have a whole island of animal people.
Huh. I mean, I would, to be honest, feel
Mm-hmm.
better using um, Ugly Dog Contest, Santa's Little Helper before
Werewolf
Werewolf
Flanders.
Landers. Yeah.
Okay, let's use Ugly Dog Contest Santa's Little Helper. We then have Bizarre, who is not from the OMC classic hit How Bizarre. He has a great bushy beard and kind of like maybe dreadlocks and also metal choppers, like a trap jaw mouth. And who do you have for Bizarre?
For Bizarre, my Rodrigo style I have for my Rodrigo pick is Wolverine comic book guy.
Mm-hmm.
And my throwback is Jaws.
From James Bond?
Yes, he does make an appearance in the 138th Simpsons Spectacular.
Mm-hmm. When Homer is the blackjack dealer and he mistakenly gives James Bond bad cards.
Yes.
Yes. My Rodrigo from the episode that we covered it is Van Krusten, the Norwegian Krusty the Clown. My throwback is Headgear Homer when Homer has his jaw wired shut in the episode Jaws Wired Shut. Try and follow that headgear. And then I also had Played Cool Grandpa from the Played Cool song because his teeth have the light up that says Kiss Me Sweetie, and I think that would be funny to have on Bizarre's Metal Mouth.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Out of the ones that I have, I really like Headgear Homer, just because there aren't a lot of people with headgear, and I think it's a nice 1-to-1. I do also like Jaws from James Bond.
I'm actually surprised we haven't used Jaws from James Bond specifically for anything yet.
I think he's a small enough joke that it is very easy to forget that he cameos.
That's true. But he was also like specifically the character that I looked for because I was like, surely Jaws has shown up inside of The Simpsons before.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to use Jaws then?
Yes, very passionate about Jaws.
Hell yeah. A person very turned on by Jaws.
Hmm.
All right, we then have Kibben. He's got a scar. He's got a ponytail. He got a really, really, really pointy chin. My Rodrigo pick was Roger. My throwback was Officer Crackney, who was the officer when Homer became a prison snitch, and then I had Stand Up Krusty because he has a similar balding hair pattern and a ponytail, and it just seemed like a close enough vibe fit. Who do you have?
Well, my Rodrigo pick is NBC Man
Mhm.
because I just thought that guy had funny bits that I kind of wanted to keep around. And my throwback, I'm realizing now, I might have already used, but it's Doug, the cameraman from Homer Simpson, This Is Your Wife.
Let's see. Do, 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 do. That's Doug Nerd. Let's check which Simpsons. Nope. We have not. We have used three other Dougs. We have used Doug the Nerd,
Right?
who is our Marco, which is funny because Marco definitely got a glow up.
Yeah.
Uh, we have William McDougall II as our Colgara, who's not technically a Doug, but comes up in search. And then we have Doug Vaccaro, actor of knockoff Al Borland. And then, what's this? Ah, there it is.
Pere, 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 pere.
We got two suggestions in from our listener, that one welder guy, who suggested, because of the ponytail, either Declan Desmond or, and I had forgotten to do this earlier because it has been a crazy wild week, Brad from Power Sauce, who also has a ponytail. I feel like Declan Desmond, even though I'm not a big fan of the character, is maybe too big to use here.
Yeah, there's.
Kibben is going to like make small cameos coming back. I don't think we're going to remember him.
Hmm.
I I'd be kind of fine using Roger as sort of a distinctive character who we're probably going to forget about, and it's like, hey, yeah, this is a character that Hugh Laurie is going to play in the One Piece live action. Have you seen live action Chopper?
I have not.
Ah,
You have opinions?
I have opinions. Live action Chopper. I the Netflix or the image results on search are still showing the fake ones that came up. Let me drop you an image. Let me slide you the boy. You seeing that boy?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the face is too much deer.
Huh. I mean, I guess I'll have to see how, like, he emotes and interacts with the world for me to give like a proper opinion.
Yeah, the actress playing him is good. Did you see the last Guardians of the Galaxy?
No.
Oh, it's sad. Good sad.
Oh. Okay.
My wife got very upset. Chopper is going to be voiced by Michaela Hoover, who is a good actress. I'm interested in seeing her in Superman this summer. Actually, yeah, Superman's coming out soon.
Holy shit.
Anyway, what?
Superman.
Yeah, the new James Gunn Superman film.
Yeah. I feel like I've only seen like 2 trailers for that, and like, well, I'm also like in a particular stage in my life where I'm not like seeking out comic book movies.
Mhm. I mean, I really enjoyed the Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah?
Asterisk. Yeah, yeah, I think that it did a good job of managing a lot of moving parts while also having a core that it stuck to and being weird enough and messy enough in a good way.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Anyway, let's talk about Keeban.
we need to talk about Keeban.
I personally would like to keep the aesthetic of the ponytail in
Hmm.
our pick.
Hmm.
So I would
Uh, oh,
want to
sorry. You had NBC man. Who was your other pick?
Doug Cameraman,
Right.
from Homer Simpson, This Is Your Wife.
Hmm.
He's kind of like a sandy blonde,
Yep.
which kind
I
of
I had just gotten distracted in the Doug quest.
ah
Okay, so you really want to go? I'm going to use Doug Cameraman.
awesome. Doug, you are our Keeban.
Hmm. And then we have Pavlik, who is kind of a squat man who could be either a gangster or a member of a ska band. I've been listening to a lot more ska recently.
Hell yeah.
Hmm. Who do you have for Pavlik?
Well, my Rodrigo pick is the soldier Lovejoy
Hmm.
from the Me game, and or Z, I guess is what they're called.
No, it was on a console, I thought. Or actually, I don't remember what they were playing it on. But yeah, in the Jumanji thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the next one is the Homer imposter from the computer who wore Menace shoes.
Interesting. My Rodrigo is the gas station attendant from who wouldn't sell the toy just because he just has a very similar energy and they both wear hats. I also had on actual actor John C. Riley. I think that he would enjoy having a small part. And then the new army recruit, because he also has a hat and a similar build. Can I push for John C. Riley?
As soon as I saw that face, I was like, oh my god, I want us to use John C. Riley.
All right. So, our Dalmatian is Ugly Dog Contest Santa's Little Helper. Our Razar is Jaws from James Bond. Our Kippen is Doug Cameraman. And our Pavlik is John C. Riley. Yay! We got this done, Janine. We got 78 done. And with 80, we'll be done with Marine Ford. So, next week, stuff goes from bad to what? As the war continues. And you know what it's good for?
uh, what is it good for?
Man, I feel like a woman.
That feels like that was the wrong sound clip.
uh, it may feel like that. It may feel like that.
'cause I knew a lot more about hockey.
Okay, so, Janine, if people enjoy your persona on this show and want to interact with you online, where can they go and do that?
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky at JanineJuliet.bisky.social and also Instagram at Janine is Dope. You could also check out the podcasts that I have coming back, Wrestle Girlies.
Mm-hmm.
We just released an episode for Double or Nothing, but like released it the day Double or Nothing came out. So find some old predictions where we predict what has already happened. But also, there's going to be some more episodes soon, so you can be able to follow that at WrestleGirlies.bisky.social up on Blue Sky. But that's enough about me. Luke, where can the people find you?
If you want to see me summarizing all of Naruto in about an hour and a half, I have good news for you, Janine.
What is that news?
I recorded an episode of the Play Comics podcast where I summarized all of Naruto, like all 700 something chapters, in about an hour and a half. And unless you have very basic tastes, your faves are not even going to be mentioned, so I could cut it down to a reasonable length. Like at a point, I had 28 pages of single-spaced, size 10 font notes on what happened in Naruto. So look forward to that. It's part of Play Comics Pride Month because Chris forgot to get queer guests, and I'm queer enough for Pride. I'm like Target's Pride selection this year. Oh, I made myself sad.
We support a sometimes non-binary king? I don't know.
Master of the house, he isn't worth my spit. Comforter in life, philosopher in lifelong shit. Yeah. So there's that coming up. I am also in the early stages of starting a new podcast where it's going to focus more on my writing and writing of some wonderful, talented people who I've been doing work with. It is going to be a script reading podcast. We are currently calling it Putting on the Script. And so look forward to that in the near future. But for the time being, you can find me most places as at Coltreg, KOLTREG, where I am more than happy to offer advice on making comics, starting podcasts, doing other things that I have experience on. Mostly I'm on Blue Sky, or if you want to find me on LinkedIn, it's Luke Hayer, LukeHerr. I also have an itch.io where you can buy my comics and a Gumroad, but that's more because I'm using that as bio hosting, essentially. No one's buying the comics there, but I also don't know if I have other copies of them anywhere else. So, our cover art is by the wonderfully talented Mike Patten, who you can find many places at Patten Pending. That's PattenPending. And you can find the podcast every 2 weeks at DohMance Dawn with a new episode at DohManceDawn.com or wherever else may go. Or you can find us on YouTube. And if you want to leave comments and you aren't part of the Discord, YouTube is a great place to do that, because I don't regularly check other things all that often. That is going to wrap us up for this week. Thank you for listening. In 2 more weeks, war never changes. So until then, have smooth sailing. Peace.